The Green Bay Packers have one of the most complete rosters in the league. In fact, is there even a position where a rookie would no doubt start?
You are Locked On Packers, your daily Green Bay Packers podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
You are Locked On Packers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I'm Peter Bukowski, and I cover the Packers for The Leap, a newsletter I would love for you to subscribe to. Follow me on Twitter, Peter_Bukowski. Follow the podcast on Twitter, Locked On Packers. Like us on Facebook. Subscribe to the podcast, iTunes, Spotify, Google Podcasts, wherever you find podcasts, you will find Locked On Packers, the #1 Packers podcast on the internet. And the show for fans who know what happened, they want to know why and how. Today's episode brought to you by the all-new 2025 Nissan Armada. Stay tuned for the Armada Player of the Week later in the show. We've got a Mock Draft Monday that we're going to do a little bit different this week because I want to really dilate on it because I wrote a piece for The Leap last week about, hey, if their top priorities aren't there, where can they find a backup plan? What is the backup plan in that situation? It's not quite an if then. It's like, okay, the perfect pass rusher for the Packers on the edge is this, but if they can't get that guy, then what? It's a cousin of the scenarios we went through last week, to be sure. But I want to start here. And this was something I remember talking about before free agency. And I can't remember if we went back and revisited it post-free agency. I think we did. But our pal Zach Cruz over at Packers Wire pointed out there are not a lot of holes on this roster. In fact, I think you can make the case there isn't a place where we have a question mark about who is going to be playing for the Green Bay Packers in 2025. And not just we don't know who it is, but we know what the plan is and we know the plan works. And you can say the pass rush, but they drafted Lucas Van Ness to develop. They have Rashawn Gary. If Devontae Wyatt can stay healthy, we know what he's capable of as a pass rusher. Carl Brooks as a pass rusher. Kenny Clark moving back to his, I think, more natural nose tackle position as a pass rusher. And this was a team that when you look at total pressures last year, they were able to do it. Now, they were able to do it with schemed up pressures, with blitzes, but they were still able to do it. There are plenty of defenses over the years that have relied on blitzes to be their pass rush. The Packers would like to do it with a four-man rush, which is why we think of pass rusher as a need. But there have been teams over the years that have relied on the blitz and won doing it. So I understand the concern, but at the same time, for the Packers, we know they can get by. They were a top 10 defense last year by whatever EPA per play, DVOA, a top 10 passing defense. They managed, and that is the same at corner, where you can go, okay, Nate Hobbs, we don't know. He's not a true #1 ball stopper, lockdown corner. Either is Keyshawn Nixon, either is Javon Bullard. But those were, Keyshawn Nixon started for you last year on a defense that was, again, top 10 against the pass. That locked down the Philadelphia Eagles. And again, you can say what you want about Jalen Hurts' injury coming back from the concussion. There was no one open all game. Part of that is Jeff Hafley. Part of that is the safeties are awesome. Part of that is Edgerrin Cooper and Quay Walker were everywhere. And part of that is these corners played really disciplined and really tough. We saw them do it. On the offensive side of the ball, we can complain about the receivers if we want to. I will tell you a million times, this was a top 5 offense last year by EPA per play, by DVOA, by whatever number you want to pick. We know they are good enough. Now the question's about, are they good enough in the playoffs? Well, we don't know. We didn't see them in the playoffs. Christian Watson got hurt. He's going to be hurt again this year, but Romeo Doubs got hurt. Jaden Reed gets hurt in the playoff game. That was, and I'm going to say this for the millionth time, a one-score game in the fourth quarter. The Packers scratched and fought and clawed in that game without their guys, without Elgton Jenkins, without Christian Watson. You lose Romeo Doubs, you lose Jaden Reed. And you scrapped and clawed with the best team in the NFL by the end of last season. The offensive line, there's a plan. Rasheed Walker, Jordan Morgan, they're going to battle it out for left guard or left tackle. You've got your left guard. You've got your center. You've got your right tackle. Your right guard, we don't know about the future, but right now, today, you've got that guy. So this was a top 5 offense and a top 10 defense last year, a top 5 team by DVOA last year. And you can say, oh, well, you know, it's the dudes that separate the Packers from these other teams. Well, it wasn't against the Lions. It was coaching. Aaron Glenn's gone. Ben Johnson's gone. It wasn't against the Vikings. They didn't lose those games against the Vikings because Jordan Addison and Justin Jefferson torched them. Sam Darnold was outside his body, and Jordan Love was not in his body for those 2 games. Yeah, the Eagles are really talented. Everyone is chasing the Eagles. The Eagles got materially worse. So this isn't about how close are the Packers relative to the Eagles, but it's about the roster. If they draft a receiver, that guy will play. He's not going to start week 1. He's not. He's just not. I mean, Elgton Jenkins didn't start week 1 with Lane Taylor being the incumbent. Eric Stokes didn't start week 1 when Kevin King, who the whole reason you draft Eric Stokes is because you don't believe in Kevin King. Eric Stokes didn't start week 1. Edgerrin Cooper didn't start week 1. Evan Williams didn't start week 1. There just aren't that many places on this team, if any, where you're going to go. If they draft a guy at 23, it's Michael Williams, it's Donovan Ezeraku, it's Derek Harmon. That guy's not going to start. Probably. Now, could you find an upgrade? Yeah, sure. Could you find, and the goal is to find a dude. I wrote about this a couple weeks ago over at The Leap. They need a guy. This team is one dude away from being in that Eagles tier right now, because the Eagles last year, they were probably 2 dudes away from beating that Eagles team. And they still, on any given day, could have beat that Eagles team. I still think last year, if Elgton Jenkins doesn't get hurt and they don't lose Romeo Doubs and Jaden Reed during the game, they absolutely could have won that game. They're capable of beating anybody in the NFL. We know that. So I want us to remember that on draft day. If they draft someone where it's like, okay, well, the vision for that guy is a year from now or 2 years from now, because that's the vision for everyone. Because this isn't a team where you go, they need that guy right now today to be a superstar for them. Now, if you get a superstar, you always take it. But there is no, we lived through, you watch seasons where you go, this guy has no chance. We watched Ladarius Gunter in 2016. That guy had no chance. We watched Byron Bell at right guard, Don Barclay at right tackle. We watched late career Kevin King at corner. We watched some of the worst safety tandems I've ever seen. Those guys just had no shot, no chance. The Packers don't have any of those players. They don't have the guy where you're like, we're going to attack this guy today. Quay Walker's not that guy anymore. He's evolved. He's grown. There's no one on this offense where you're just like, yeah, that offensive lineman, we're going to go get that guy. Oh yeah, Jordan Love, he's the problem. We know we can take that guy out. No. Oh, if we just, and this is the beauty of the egalitarian offense that they run, there is no receiver to take away. Now, that's also part of the problem, is they don't have that one guy who, when the offense needs a play, can go make you one. But that's why you have Jordan Love. Jordan Love healthy can be that guy. Matt LaFleur can be part of the solution there. Tucker Kraft, I think, can be that guy. Josh Jacobs can be more of that guy. They have potential options, potential solutions. We just have to see it. Now, we're going to do the Mock Draft Monday part of today's episode next because I want to talk about backup plans. And we'll do that after that on Locked On Packers. Did you know your Fire TV is also on Xbox? Turn any TV into your gaming and entertainment hub with Fire TV Stick 4K devices, no console required. Just grab your paired controller, subscribe, or sign into Xbox Game Pass Ultimate with EA Play included, and you're ready to play. Dive into hundreds of premium titles from EA Sports College Football 25 to Call of Duty Black Ops 6 and Avowed as easily as you stream your favorite TV shows. It's gaming made simple, and it's all on Fire TV. With 4K streaming, watch more than 1.5 million movies, TV episodes from your favorite subscribed services like Netflix, Prime Video, Disney Plus, Max, and so much more. Have your stuff when you need it, where you need it, because it is convenient for you wherever you plug in. Head to Amazon.com/FireTV Locked On to get started. Xbox Game Pass Ultimate subscription and compatible controller is required. Available on select devices, including Fire TV Stick 4K 2nd Gen, Fire TV Stick 4K Max 1st and 2nd Gen, and Fire TV Q'd 3rd generation. So I did a little mock draft myself. I didn't go through the process because I wanted to do a ideal situation mock draft. And the reason I wanted to do an ideal situation mock draft is because I wanted to then set up the piece that if you missed it on Friday, and I would understand Friday, a lot of people going on spring break this week. I am in fact on spring break this week with my family. But still, we have to bring you the content. The draft is 10 days away. We can't not have stuff this week. Are you serious? So here we are. So I put together if everything goes right, at these need positions, here is how I think the draft would play out. And it starts with Mykel Williams from Georgia at 23. I am becoming increasingly dubious that there will be the edge rusher of choice for the Green Bay Packers at 23. I went back and I did a mock draft. And because I'm a dork about this stuff, I spent literally multiple hours researching top 30 visits, reporting around interest in players. And I did a mock draft where I used the interest levels that teams seemed to have, much like the Packers. Okay, did they interview or 30 visit with a bunch of guys at a certain position? And I did a mock draft on it. And it was actually, frankly, pretty easy. There was only a couple times where I was like, ooh, they don't really have someone here and their need positions. I don't really think there's someone here for them based on the consensus. And all the edge rushers were gone by the time the Packers picked at 23. And I gave Emeka Egbuka to the Packers at that position because they've done plenty of work on these first round receivers. But I think the best thing for them is that one of these guys happens to be there at 23. Mykel Williams was Todd McShay's pick for the Packers in his latest mock draft. So this is not far-fetched. This is not out of the question at all. This is a very good defensive tackle class. You know, if a bunch of quarterbacks go, as this is what happened is in McShay's mock, 4 quarterbacks went before the Packers picked. And so that's going to push down some of these players that the Packers are going to have interest in, that they don't care if the quarterbacks go. In fact, they would like the quarterbacks to go because that means the good players that they want, that they would actually pick, are moving down in their range. Mykel Williams is 20 years old. He'll be 21. He showed up at Georgia as an 18-year-old freakazoid athlete. He's they got 35-inch arms at 6'5", 260, movement skills, pass rush ability. Now we know that the production was not there. The win rates were not there. But if you go back and you look at the guys with similar profiles, a couple Georgia guys on that list, including Trayvon Walker, who's become a double-digit sack guy twice now in the NFL, was the number 1 overall pick. Mykel Williams came into this year as a projected number 1 overall pick, hurt his ankle, did not produce the way that we thought he might. And so now it looks like Jalen Walker is going to go ahead of him, which to me is cuckoo bananas. I think Michael Williams is a much better football player. If he fell to the Packers, it would be a coup for Green Bay. This could be the future of this defense. Truly, he showed up at Georgia at 18 and was like the best player on the field for stretches of games in the SEC. That does not happen. Now, second round. Ideally, one of these receivers that you would be willing to maybe take in the first round, a Luther Burden, a Jaden Higgins for me, is there. Jaden Higgins is the guy to me because what you need in this offense is more than just the vertical Z element, the vertical option. Yes, they need speed. Jaden Higgins can give you that, ran 4.47. I don't know that he's truly a 4.47 guy, but can win vertically. If you're going to play him one-on-one on the boundary, he will beat you because he's 6'4", 215 pounds, and will just go up and over you. A monster in the red zone, can be your backside X receiver, and you can play him as a power slot. He'll block. He'll dig out that linebacker, that defensive end, that safety, and is a red zone monster, situational football monster. Does he have to be a 120 target guy as a rookie? No, absolutely he does not. You still have these other guys, but he can be your bucket getter. And even guys that I think are as good or close to as good, guys like Luther Burden, I don't know that they can give the Packers that element in their offense. Like, I think Luther Burden would be a worthy pick at 23 without a problem, really. But I think Jaden Higgins is a better fit for what the Packers are looking for. In the third round, I thought there was a time when I thought someone like Trey Amos would be there. That dream is dead. Now, the way that I did it for the leap is different than the way that I'm going to lay it out here. In a perfect world, they could get Noah Williams in the fourth round. I'm skipping ahead. And the reason I say that is because I think one of the most Packers-y offensive linemen in this draft is Jonah Sevenaya from Arizona. Started his career at right guard, where the Packers might have a need in a year. Then moved to right tackle. Relative athletic score at tackle, over 9. He's big. He's 6'4", but 324. And wingspan, arm length to play tackle. 73rd percent wingspan, 61% arm length, 33 and 7/8 inch arms. That's a shade under. You'd like 34 ideally. He's a guard, fine. The Packers don't really care about arm length that much anyway. And so, okay, you get him. He can be your right guard all day, your swing tackle. A lot like Elgton Jenkins was. He is your 2026 right guard when Sean Ryan goes out and gets $15 million on the open market. And you have a swing tackle. If Jordan Morgan is your left tackle, you've got Rasheed Walker. If he's not, maybe he competes at right guard. But you've got more depth on the offensive line, and you don't have to use premium draft capital to get you there. That would be the ideal. And the third round, that was where they got Sean Ryan. Third, fourth round, that's where the Packers tend to do their work with these offensive linemen. Maybe in the fifth round. Now, if they want to get a center, they could do it in this spot too. Jared Wilson, Tate Ratledge. They don't usually take guards to be guards, but maybe you take him as a guard to be a center with some guard flexibility. Got the athleticism. Jared Wilson, same thing. This would be a little early, I would think, for someone who's not going to start right away from you, and you think Elgton Jenkins is an all-pro center. So then if that's true, then maybe you do want to extend him and ease that cap hit in 2026. That's why someone like Jonah Sevenaya, who can play guard or tackle, or even if you wanted to, slide him into center and have some fun. That's the ideal to me. And then you get Noah Williams in the fourth round. Noah Williams being there in the fourth round, so you don't have to take that corner in the third, but you have someone who has the upside to start for you, can be the Keyshawn Nixon replacement, physical, ball-hawking corner, can play eyes to the quarterback, vision and break, led the nation in interceptions last year, played special teams, I think returned a punt or a kick for a touchdown too. good with the ball in his hands. Yes, he's a little bit older, didn't test elite. That's why he would be there in the 4th round. You get Michael Williams. He could be a cornerstone piece of your pass rush. Jaden Higgins could be your future number 1 receiver. Very much could be there at 54. And I know I got a lot of pushback when I put this mock out. Jaden Higgins is not going to be there. Well, the Bomb Again scout said late 2nd, early 3rd for him. Like, I don't think the NFL is quite as high on him as draft Twitter is. But there's a scarcity at that position. I also think there's a good chance when the Packers pick at 23, Higgins, Ibuka, Burden are all there. And so that gives you the opportunity to potentially trade back. I heard from a lot of people that, hey, when we did the scenarios last week, their favorite of the scenarios was the trade back. Get your receiver, and then on day 2, you're able to go corner, defensive tackle, defensive end, do all that stuff. And then in the 3rd round, get an offensive lineman. Like that's beautiful. Now, if they can't get the ideal, where can they still find value to fit their needs? We'll talk about that next on Locked On Packers. The Armada Player of the Week is brought to you by our friends at Nissan and the all-new 2025 Nissan Armada. Each week, we're taking a look at our draft prospects to pick one guy that stands apart, the guy we believe showcase the strength and power to push the Packers forward as we look ahead to next season. This week's Armada clear-cut Player of the Week is the guy we just talked about, Jonah Sevenaya. He is rugged, physical at the point of attack, can come in right away and give you that Sean Ryan body mover, people mover in the run game. Heavy duty, rugged, conquers the road with capability and confidence. Dream big, go big, just like the Nissan Armada. When it comes to the Nissan Armada, they say go forth and conquer, and that's exactly what I think Jonah Sevenaya can do here. It's clear that our Player of the Week is out here ready to conquer the road ahead with confidence, just like you can in the all-new Nissan Armada or any of their outstanding vehicles. Take the Nissan Armada, Rogue, or Pathfinder and go find your next big adventure. Shop nissanusa.com. So what if the Packers can't get their preferred players? Well, you got to have backup plans. If the Packers can't get someone like Michael Williams, there is a drop-off, and it depends on if Donovan Ezeraku is on their board. I think the most likely thing that happens if the Packers are sitting there at 23, Michael Williams is off the board. My guess is Mike Green. We know Abdul Carter's going to be off the board. Mike Green's going to be off the board. I think Shamar Stewart's going to be off the board. Then you're looking at James Pierce, who at 245 pounds does not have a complete athletic profile and has the character questions. I'd be surprised. I'd be awfully surprised. And I thought just off the tape he was a 2nd round player anyway. I didn't quite get it. But they could be sitting there going, we really like any of these options. Now, could they go defensive tackle? The problem for them is I think Derek Harmon and Kenneth Grant, I think they may go off the board literally right in front of the Packers. 21, 22. There's a non-zero chance that that's what happens. And they haven't shown any interest in the 1st round D tackles. So I'm not sure that that's the direction that they would go. Donovan Ezeraku, if he fits, is your consolation prize, your backup plan for Michael Williams. Not the biggest guy. 6'3", 250. It's like 6'2" and change, 248. But has 34-inch arms, the flexibility, plays with a physicality and a force that belies his size. He is the sort of Clay Matthews, if you will, of this class, where you go, yes, he's a little undersized, even for a 4-3 defensive end, but the productivity is there, the win rates, all the stuff you want. He is someone who can defensively go get you a bucket. Now, if he doesn't fit, your backup plan is Landon Jackson. Now, I would prefer a trade down in a situation like this, but I have Landon Jackson as a borderline 1st round pick. That's how much I like the tape and the testing. And he tested better than he shows on tape. The agility's much better than he shows on tape. And so that makes you wonder, okay, is there more in there to glean? He's someone who at the Senior Bowl looked like he had no idea what the bag drill was, like just had not done it. And then at the combine, all of a sudden magically looked like a beast in the bag drill. Now it's not rocket science, but I think you see a player who the upside for him at 6'6" and change, 260 plus, the absolute freakish athletic, straight line explosiveness off the charts, but also the change of direction, athleticism that you see. And you see him, there are times when he can dip and bend the edge. Got a QB hit off Will Campbell, who's going to be a top 10 pick in this draft. He had some really good pass rush reps in the SEC, 3.5 sacks against Alabama in 2023. If you want, just like with Edgerrin Cooper, if you want the first round case for Landon Jackson, go watch, just go watch the highlights of him in 2023 against Alabama. He was a monster. And you go, okay, that's it. And there's a similar situation. One of the reasons why I like Landon Jackson as a backup plan to Mykel Williams is there are a lot of times you see him being used in the same way as Mykel Williams, where they're asking him, he's playing 3 technique. He's playing 4-eye. He's playing 5 tech. Like very rarely does he just get to get out wide and rush the quarterback. And I think in Green Bay, he'd get that opportunity. There is no backup plan for Jaden Higgins because there's no one else really like him in the draft. Now, you could really fudge it and say someone like Dante Thornton, but like that's a way further down the line replacement. Like that's not a backup plan. That's Costco brand is being uncharitable here. Like it's not the same stratosphere. Jaden Higgins is a much better prospect. Jaden Higgins is to me a bona fide first round prospect. Dante Thornton is like a round 4, round 5 prospect. So that's unfair. If they don't get a Jaden Higgins, I don't know that there is another true X receiver in this draft, period. So you got to pivot. And to me, the backup plan in the top 100 is Jalen Royals. We've talked about Jalen Royals plenty on this show, a Z receiver. I wish he blocked a little bit harder. I wish he ran routes a little bit harder. But man, all the stuff that he could do in the scheme touch game, you let Jaden Reed be a little bit more natural receiver. You could put Royals in the slot and Reed outside. You could flip them. You could go cheat motion. To have those two guys on the field at the same time would give you such dynamic ability and the speed that you need that you're not getting quite from Jaden Higgins. Royals can provide. He can be that deep threat, that just go get it deep ball player. And he's also the kind of guy who you get him on a slant in space. He makes the safety mix, and he's gone. And we saw him do it. I mean, one of the most iconic single plays of a prospect that is just going to resonate in my mind for as long as I have memories, I think, is Boise State. He catches this slant crossing route, whatever you want to call it. I don't know exactly like what the concept was. I suppose I could go back and look. But he catches this ball, middle of the field, safety bearing down on him. He just gives him a little Tim Hardaway crossover, a little bang, bang. And he's gone out the gate. Touchdown. And you're just like, oh my goodness. To have the awareness, the body control, the explosiveness, that sort of dynamic ability is rare. For offensive linemen, the backup to me, backup plan for Jonas Sevenai is Charles Grant. And Charles Grant is a prospect you may have never heard of from William and Mary. And he's 6'4", 6'5", 310, long arms, could play tackle. I think he might be your tackle to center conversion. He could be a swing tackle early and then becomes your center. Maybe, who knows? But he's got to get bigger. He's got to get stronger. He's got to learn how to anchor and take on bull rush. He's very much in the Zach Tom mold. I think you could take him in the 3rd round. Maybe he's there in the 4th round. You wish you had a full athletic profile on him because the tape is, there's some really impressive reps on tape, but there's also some like, oh, what is this? Especially at a lower level of competition. Now we've talked about Noah Williams. I actually, when I did this for the Leap, I had Darian Porter as plan A, but I did that because he's probably going to be there. If he's there for the Packers, ideally, you'd like him in the 3rd round. ideally, Noah Williams you'd like in the 4th round. I think Noah Williams is just flat out better player than Darian Porter. I personally would take Noah Williams in the 3rd round. So I would say Noah Williams would be the guy that I would want to take at 87 at corner. My preference would be getting Noah Williams in the 4th round, but you may not be able to do that. And so if the offensive linemen that you like are gone at 87, again, I would take Noah Williams, but I would understand Darian Porter. 6'3", 195, ran 4.3 flat at 6'3", 195. Over 1,000 special teams reps in his career, was only really a part-time player last year at corner, converted receiver, but can absolutely fly. Worst case, you're getting a good special teams player. Development, he's 24, turns 25 next January. You're getting a developmental corner, but he doesn't really have to play this year. So let him play special teams, let him learn. And then maybe in 2026, you have a Keyshawn Nixon replacement. You pair him with Hobbs, Bullard. You've got a really young dynamic secondary with Xavier McKinney, Evan Williams. And let's go. I like all of that. All right, back tomorrow. Mike Renner joins us on the show tomorrow to set the table for a week of interviews. Mike Renner from CBS Sports, Keith Sanchez from Locked On NFL Draft, Trevor Sikkema from Pro Football Focus, the Stock Exchange podcast, and everywhere. He's everywhere. Also just got married. Congratulations to Trev. And Ross Uglum from Packer Report to talk offensive line. All of that coming up on a loaded week of Locked On Packers while I am trying to enjoy some warmer weather if I can. Follow me on social media. Wherever you find people on social media, people have preferences about these things these days. Follow me. Follow the podcast on the social medias. And subscribe to the podcast, wherever you find podcasts. One thing we did quickly, I have to mention, we did a poll about the Packers and what need positions you had. Edge was the overwhelming favorite. I think the Packers are going to agree. And I meant to bring it up earlier. I forgot. I'm sorry. But here we are. I said I would mention it, so I mentioned it. Go subscribe over on our YouTube page. We're going to be live from the draft in Green Bay on draft night, so you can stay locked on Packers.